I'm Grady Collane in the CapeCod.com News Center, and welcome to Sunday Journal. I'm joined today by a special guest from Heritage Museums and Gardens. Do you mind just introducing yourself for our listeners?
Certainly. Thanks for inviting me, Grady. My name is Anne Scott-Putney, and I'm the president and CEO at Heritage Museums and Gardens.
All right, awesome. Thank you for joining me for this conversation today. I really appreciate it. We recently heard that the new Welcome Center project has received a significant gift of $3.5 million that we want to talk to you more about. But while we're at it, we also want to ask more about what is this new Welcome Center initiative, how have things been going on with Heritage Museums and Gardens, and also gearing up for the summer season. But first, can you just tell us a little bit more about this gift, who it came from, how it's going to be utilized, and your general reaction and comments to receiving such a large contribution to the effort?
Certainly. Well, we are thrilled, as you can imagine, to have received such a generous and thoughtful gift to help wrap up our campaign for the new Welcome Center at Heritage Museums and Gardens. The gift comes from a family trust, the Edwin Barbey Charitable Trust, at the recommendation of some wonderful people, Pamela and Peter Barbey, who Peter's a lifelong Cape Codder. 4 generations of their family have summered here, and we are delighted to have them as part of the Heritage family, but having attended events and having brought their own family, their son, his family, the grandchildren, to enjoy some very special moments here at Heritage, such as Gardens Aglow, and other family-oriented things, along with some of our sort of adult-oriented events, such as our gala and other special events. So they've been visiting Heritage for several years now. They're philanthropically minded, and we are absolutely thrilled to be able to name the Welcome Center as the Barbey Family Welcome Center at Heritage.
All right, awesome. Yeah, that was my next question was actually, it's like, what does this mean in terms of the naming? So very interesting. That is awesome. You mentioned it's part of so there was a campaign to raise the money for this project, I believe. So a lot of it has been funded through the generosity of the local community. Can you talk a little bit more about how that campaign went and what we're looking at in terms of the total price tag expected for the Welcome Center?
Certainly. Well, we kicked it off with a quiet phase, if you will. There's a lot of work that's done behind the scenes to, first of all, envision what it is that we want. And I hope to have the chance to talk about that a little bit more later, to design it, and then to start to generate the support of kind of our inner circle, which includes our trustees, our endowment trustees, our close-in family members, and those that have supported us in the past. We also have some money from the state through Mass Cultural Council and MOT, Massachusetts Office of Travel and Tourism. And so we had some very generous lead gifts from individual donors to help us get on our way. We kicked off the campaign publicly this summer, back in July, with a big public kickoff where we had raised, I think, close to $8 million at that point. And then since then, we have gotten ourselves to $14.9 million, so almost $15 million. And that is just shy. I think it's 96% of our goal, or some amount like that. So we definitely are ready. We actually put shovels in the ground this week, or I should say we put shovels in the ground the first week of February. And a lot of work has happened since then.
Yeah, that is awesome. A lot of great news right back to back. So is so that missing like 4% or whatever, is that going to just be like the icing and decorations? You can mostly finish everything that needs to be done, and obviously you can get shovels in the ground. What would be the thing you'd be waiting on without the last final 4%?
I think we probably won't be waiting on anything. We're still working with donors on their gifts right now. We welcome additional gifts. I know that there will be people who come to visit Heritage when we open in April, and will be very excited to support that. So I don't think I could point to one single aspect of the Welcome Center, except to say that it's going to be under construction until April of 2025, which will be when it's opened, and that will give us plenty of time to make sure that we have everything we need to finish the job.
All right, awesome. So, yeah, if you can tell us a little bit more about what some of the planned new sustainable technologies involved in this program, which you guys have already kind of pioneered a lot of that, especially with like the even the way your parking is set up. Obviously, as a nonprofit that focuses on nature, I would imagine that's pretty important for you guys. But just yeah, tell us a little bit more about what is planned for this building, some of the things you're excited about.
So just backing up for 1 second, when you look at our mission, which is essentially to connect people to nature and culture and to learn about our Cape Cod region, we sincerely value conservation and the preservation of our local landscapes. And so as part of that, we have a sustainability plan here at Heritage that encompasses every aspect of our operations, from the way that we mow our lawn to the way that we heat our buildings, and now to the way that we are building our new Welcome Center. And so the goal for the Welcome Center is to be net zero. What that means is that there won't be any more carbon emissions than there are. There won't be any net extra carbon emissions as a result of the operation of the Welcome Center. And that's consistent with our overall goal for Heritage. We've already reduced at Heritage broadly our carbon emissions by 50% since we started operationalizing our sustainability plan several years ago. And all of this is, obviously philosophically, it's for the climate. It's for every reason that you would want to reduce your carbon use, your use of fossil fuels, and your carbon emissions. And also because it's what's asked of us here in Massachusetts. And so we're working hard to achieve, to overachieve on and early achieve on the benchmarks that have been set by the state in terms of reducing carbon emissions. So with respect to the Welcome Center itself, the need is great for it. I would like to state that when we opened in 1969, we had 25,000 people. Today we have 130,000 people who visit Heritage. And so there is a need to expand the way that we embrace people when they walk in the door. Metaphorically speaking, they're outdoors when they walk in the door. But to expand areas for people to gather, to expand places for them to learn more at Heritage before they actually begin their visit, to tell them about programming, et cetera, gift shops, plant sales, et cetera. But the way that we're building the building is with net zero in mind, and that influences the choice of our different, heating and air conditioning and things like that. It influences the building design. It's all powered by solar panels. They're flat roofs that are sort of at an angle. So they're slope roofs, but they're flat. And every building, 3 of the 4 buildings have solar panels on them. We are building a lot of the courtyard areas with permeable paving. A lot of the work that we do at Heritage has to do with water and water runoff, to make sure that we're not spilling runoff, into the ponds or ultimately into the ocean. Mm-hmm. And so the design of all the paving is to percolate the water into the ground and to catch it before it goes any further than where we are. Those are just a couple examples of how we're planning to make the building net zero. But a lot of it is also just in the way that the building is designed, the way that it's sited, the way that it takes advantage of sunshine, the way the windows are placed, et cetera, so as to minimize the need for additional heating and air conditioning, and to maximize the use of the solar power. For example, there are 4 different buildings. When we're not in season, we can just shut buildings down, and therefore there's no electric costs or no utility costs for those buildings. And so we really can activate buildings only as we need them, and that's one way to cut down on the use of fossil fuels.
That's very interesting, the kind of modularity where it's like, oh, it's excess, we don't need it. Very interesting.
That word, modularity. Yes.
Yeah.
And I'll also just add one more thing, Grady, because we're a botanic garden also, part of what we do is teach people about the landscapes of our region. And so the way that this all is planted, the way it goes seamlessly from our parking lot into the Welcome Center area. In the parking lot, we have what are called bioswales that collect and catch all the water using native plants. as the percolating agents. Um, the landscaping and the plantings at the Welcome Center will also demonstrate what is native to this area and what are appropriate plant choices for this region.
Very interesting. It's kind of a historical and cultural angle as well to kind of see what some of the native things are that maybe people aren't familiar with. Cool.
Yeah.
As well, like there's the runoff. I mean, we speak with the Association Preserve Cape Cod all the time, and really they've been focusing a
Right.
lot on parking lots and like boat ramps and stuff like that. The runoff. Now, you guys are of course very plant focused. I imagine are there fertilizers involved? I assume there's a lot of like careful responsibility that you guys need to kind of be aware of when it comes to
Absolutely.
tending. Can you just elaborate more about like how
Yeah.
focused you guys are?
Well, we're very focused on it. We don't use anything that's not organic
Mm,
in the way that we tend to our plants and our soils. We do integrated pest management. I mean, it's all the best practices in reducing or eliminating that kind of waste, if you will, into the environment. I also would say you mentioned Association Preserve Cape Cod and water issues. Every drop of water in our parking lots goes through a bioswale, so nothing, with cars parked there, nothing from the parking lots goes out into the forest or any surrounding area. It all percolates down into the ground,
hmm
and then it eventually, goes where it goes. But we're part of our sort of gardening philosophy, if you will, is to be extremely mindful of the best practices in managing our landscapes.
It's very interesting. I mean, we also spoke with the Cape Cod National Seashore, and we've seen national parks across the region, especially during COVID-19. There was a big boom in how many people
Yeah.
wanted to spend time outdoors, essentially. And we heard some quotes along the lines of where we love our national parks to death. Just a lot of people coming and going, their cars leaving trash behind, even foot traffic. You guys have been seeing a tremendous growth in popularity over the past few years, and it's interesting to see the developments that you've put in for the parking lot to kind of ensure there's not the tremendous environmental impact. How else have you been handling the larger amounts of people coming and going? I mean, before it was hundreds, now it's thousands. The Welcome Center is described as needing to handle thousands of annual guests. How has it been like for you, kind of managing this? Have there been changes that you've had to make to kind of make it sustainable and enjoyable for every guest still?
I think that's a really good question. I think that we're different from national parks in some fundamental ways. I won't get into the details, but we're big enough. We have 100 acres, and there's lots of room for people at Heritage to stay on the beaten path or go onto the wooded trails. We have a number of different kind of places or areas throughout Heritage where people can spread out, where they can enjoy themselves. We have 3 museum buildings. We have a carousel. We have a windmill. We have a labyrinth. We have a maze. We have our school. We have the Flume Fountain. We have a number of different discrete gardens, each with a different theme to it. So we haven't seen that kind of impact that you might say too much or loving them to death. We have not seen that. What we did see is people rediscovering the out of doors during COVID. And one of the things that we did is we embraced that because, I mean, for a number of reasons, but mine was because it's really hard to be locked up inside. Please come and visit so that you can enjoy a measure of sanity and serenity and peacefulness and fresh air. Come here because we can be that place for you during COVID. And I think, and that was really important in our community, as I know it was in many communities, having places to go. But we really got that message out in a very positive, welcoming way, because people were able to come here, for example, in family groups where they couldn't maybe go visit their grandparents, inside in a family group. They could come here outdoors as a family group. So that was important. And then we've seen, I don't know if I'd call it the spillover, but just sort of the happy outcome sustain itself over time. So we continue to have, more people coming to Heritage than had before. Right now, it's about 130,000 people a year. Um,
Wow.
with one of our target audiences, if you will, are multi-generational families. We really want to be a place where family members of all ages can be here by themselves or in a larger family group, because there is something for everyone here at Heritage.
Hmm. Yeah, it's very interesting. So, as well, speaking of like family events and things to do with this new Welcome Center, which I guess is itself a testament to more people coming every year, silver linings. I saw the community events. Like, what are some of the? Are there going to be exhibits? Will you be playing host for like other organizations who might want to use the space? Like, what do you foresee this Welcome Center providing in the next few years?
Well, I think one of the things that it provides that we just need more of, is rooms for groups to gather, say formal groups to gather, whether it be bus tour groups or a group of garden club people coming together, a Boy Scout group, a school field trip group, anybody that might come in a group and is looking to come in, find themselves, get refreshed, and get oriented before they come into Heritage. This new Welcome Center is going to provide a much more expansive opportunity to do that. Since COVID, we've seen definitely, well, school field trips just couldn't exist during COVID. So we're seeing them come back again, which is very exciting. The new Welcome Center will be a much more efficient, but also graceful way to welcome them. Same thing for adult groups and tour bus groups, which have really come back after Heritage. Um, the Welcome Center space itself offers more in terms of orientation to Heritage. There's also a beautiful conference room that will look out over the Flume Fountain that ultimately will be available for rent by other organizations. And we have over 100 different programs a year. And so everything from our well-known Hydrangea Festival and Rhododendron Festival to our Wampanoag Festival Days to gardening institutes and programs about various aspects of horticulture, doing things at home, to tours of our museums, learning about our antique card collection, seeing special exhibits that change every year as a launch point for touring the beautiful sculptures, outdoor sculptures, which change every year. So there are a number of ways that families can get involved, on an everyday basis, but also on a special event basis. We like to
Awesome.
say Heritage is everyday awesome. And then there's 100 programs that they also can do throughout the year.
That is
I should
wonderful.
mention Hidden Hollow too, especially for children and families. I'm sure some of your listeners will be aware of Hidden Hollow, which is a 2-acre outdoor hands-on discovery area, including a large, beautiful tree house, but it's within a kind of a bowl area. And it encourages children to act and to climb and to pump water and to count and to draw and to make music, and to just be outdoors in a very safe place, to explore and feel comfortable in nature. So much of what we want to do is help families feel comfortable in nature and learn about the history and culture of our region through our museum collections.
Hmm. That is awesome. So, actually, we're about coming up on time. But speaking of the various events you do throughout the year, I wanted to ask you a quick review. Essentially, Gardens Aglow. Just kind of wanted to ask how that's been ongoing, kind of like how the winter season looks for you, and then if you also wanted to maybe highlight some of the upcoming events that people can look forward to in the spring and summer.
Certainly. So Gardens Aglow was yet again super popular and sold out. That's our winter light show that is especially popular among families, and it's really a family tradition that goes from the day after Thanksgiving through till Christmas time. We'll be doing that again next year. We open on April 20th. It's a Saturday. It's also Earth Day. So or near Earth Day. So we'll be having an Earth Day celebration that day. We have a number of special exhibits that are coming up. Our outdoor sculpture exhibit is by a local artist that does very fanciful sculptures out of metal that are very appealing to children. Our indoor special exhibit is called New England Impressionism, and it's going to be about 50 paintings by well-known and lesser well-known, but fabulous New England artists in the Impressionist tradition. We'll have an entirely new lineup of cars in our car museum. Of course, that's all interpreted, and a number of events that key to that. The First festival that we have is the Rhododendron Festival, which will be at the end of May into early June. And then things really get hopping. We have summer program for children, 6 separate weeks of summer program, all outdoors and based at our school with indoor themed weeks as well. We have the Hydrangea Festival. That's in early July. Wampanoag Festival Day typically is end of July or early August. The Adventure Park is opening at Heritage in April. And that's a wonderful activity for young people, but also family members of all ages from age 7 and up. A series of 5 different elements in the trees where you can work together as a team or on your own to challenge yourself. And then as you feel comfortable, graduate to higher levels of challenges up in the treetops. It's aerial adventures and a zip line at the end of every element. We're really excited to be opening that again in April.
That's awesome. Got to be ready to go with those higher heights, but some people like to have the adrenaline high. But very interesting. So I'm going to be very cruel to you, I'm afraid, Anne. But do you have a favorite? Is there a particular exhibit or some new thing that you're excited about that's a personal touch for you? Are you a big fan? Or I know it's like asking what's your favorite kid, right? I mean, how can I?
We can't do that. I'll tell you what's my favorite. And I'm sort of turning it on. My favorite is seeing families, often grandparents, parents, or aunties and uncles and children, maybe some kiddos in a stroller or a little red wagon, coming together and smiling and having a really, really good time. Maybe ending up on the carousel together, riding the carousel, maybe going in and looking at the cars together, where everybody in the family can find something that they enjoy in the car museum. Maybe running around on the grass while the parents eat a lunch from our Lily's Cafe. What I love is seeing families spending quality time, bonding, learning together, and just enjoying themselves here at Heritage. That's my favorite.
All right, awesome answer. Thank you so much, Anne. I'm afraid that's all the time that we have, but thank you so much for joining me for this conversation, talking a little bit more about what's going on at the museums.
Thank you.
I'm Grady Collane, and this has been Sunday Journal.